One weekend out of every month, I read every story that comes through.
Oh yeah.
Now, I will say that we have got some of the best writers ever on ERWA.
And some of the worst.
And, well, now, it comes back to preference, what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The writers write what they prefer.
That's true.
My problem is relating to some of what they prefer. Because we're talking about being feminist. If I am reading a story that is about female submission, it is harder for me to read through that and relate in any way to the main character. Now that doesn't necessarily make it bad. But for me, what makes it bad is when it is littered with punctuation and spelling errors, and there was no attempt to
So when you mean bad, you mean bad grammar, bad punctuation, bad word choice, bad style.
Plot, no
Right.
Well, if you follow Helen on Twitter, she was talking about two people on horseback.
Oh, impossible in a problem situation.
Or the self-bondage
You're telling us that you've been consigned to that circle of hell where ASSTR...
I've read stories about chicken legs inserted in places where you really should not insert chicken legs.
I've read those stories too, but they were in a medical textbook.
This would not have qualified. I love you.
Can I give you an answer to your question?
Yes, answer.
I would take the bad sex. Because bad sex could be improved because you've got, hopefully, more than one person involved. Whereas...
You mean aside from yourself or aside from your partner?
Aside from myself. There's at least one other person besides me.
There's one other person beside the person who has the personality.
The feedback process for improving bad sex works better than the feedback process for improving bad
For instance, if she grabs you by the ears and says, "No, not there, here," you know to course correct.
Exactly. So that's why I would take the bad sex.
I would take the bad erotica simply because there's less chance for serious injury.
Okay.
Well, it's a toss-up for me, because at least with bad erotica, you get a good laugh out of it. With bad sex, you're at least getting sex. And
Really,
which is better than...
sex is
well, I guess...
Like I said,
your mileage
serious
may
injuries.
vary. But yeah,
So you're saying
have...
sometimes the fucking you get isn't what the fucking you get.
Let's say there was a hospital involved.
I have
We'll talk about that one once
If you
there's
end
some
up in a truss, you did something wrong.
Hence bad.
That's bad.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so Catherine, have you got something on your mind recently in the erotica area you'd like to throw out
Aside
to our
from
panel?
literature degrees.
Well, I have an announcement.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
We can probably riff on that for 15 minutes.
Well, in February of 2011, FAZE is going to put out their first anthology of male-on-male steampunk. We have done steampunk before, but this is going to be the first actual book that is all steampunk erotica, which we were very excited about. This is something of a pet project of mine. I actually sought out the stories myself and received a number of submissions. Had to whittle it down to 4. I have a wonderful cover. It was just previewed to me today. I can't wait to share it. It is just wonderful. It is a genre that I have been wanting to do for some time. For some reason, I don't get a lot of submissions. I think when people think of my particular brand, they think of the genres that sell best.
I was about to say, I think Cecilia Tan cornered that market.
Yeah. Well, it's I think with particular publishers, like Alora's Cave does not do a lot of female doms, because that's not what sells with them. When people go to Alora's Cave, there's a lot of alpha male, a lot of shapeshifter, a lot of male on male, you're my soulmate kind of fiction. With FAZE, it's a lot of interracial. We do a booming business with interracial romance and male-on-male romance in particular. And that's one of my pet peeves about about the erotic romance and the romance industry in general, is that if you see the particular logo, you're expecting a particular genre.
Ding, 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 ding,
Whereas
ding, 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 ding.
I would like to kind of broaden that horizon a bit. I would like to present, we have a lot of contemporary heterosexual romance, which is just beautiful. It doesn't sell as well as our gay stuff does. We have some wonderful lesbian erotica,
See,
which
I know
does not
things
sell.
because of the contemporary stuff. That's what I always associate with you guys. Is
Well,
the contemporary.
I have my own personal imprint. I have 4 lesbian stories. I'm getting ready to do a print anthology. And I sell more of those with my personal imprint than the lesbian stuff does at Phase. And we have one lesbian anthology at Phase, which was a finalist for the Golden Crown Literary Society, which is like one of the largest lesbian literary awards you can get. And it's not a big seller with us because I guess people don't come there for that. And my goal is to be an all-around type of publisher for romance and erotica like that. And
Well, that sounds like more of a marketing problem than anything else.
Well, I do my damnedest to do that. We have the blogs. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We promote everyone equally. I think people just tend to gravitate to particular print. It's like people go to tour. Why do people go to tour? They go to tour for science fiction. Why do people go to Harlequin? They go to Harlequin for the the pregnant virgin bride.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of
That's what they went to the Vatican for.
Well, I don't know if Harlequin will do the Vatican imprint too, but they got a NASCAR imprint.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Getting back to the steampunk announcement, for one of the very few first short stories I ever sold, I did a lot of research on Victorian era sex toys. And the very first vibrators ever made were clockwork or steam powered. Now, luckily the steam engine was actually in another room, and it had a rotating cable that ran through to power the thing.
Helen and I did a panel on steampunk erotica for MarsCon 2 years ago or last year.
It was either last year, I think it was 2 years ago, because I'd written a story about that too.
Yeah, it's just amazing the type of innovation they'd come up in that time.
And the reason why they did it, because doctors were tired of manually massaging women's genitalia.
What they were tired is that if they were, instead of having just their hands to work with,
they were getting carpal tunnel syndrome.
they could have more women in a day. But
they were also getting
15 minutes instead of an hour to do this.
I'm suddenly imagining a room full of women attached to these giant machines. The doctor going by check.
Keep that image, write a story.
I did! Actually read a story about the doctor saying no.
Well, my fear is that particular genre will be diluted, because once people realize it's out there, then they'll try to write it and not really research it.
Yeah, steampunk does take a bit of research.
Yeah, I think that's... I've always been hesitant of historical romances coming into Phase, because some people tend not to research. We had 1 or 2